Shalom, shalom, everybody. This is Prophet of Awakening. This is our Sabbath class on the 12th of September, 2020. We're gonna do a moment of silence for all that the Lord host is doing in the earth, and then we're gonna go into let me get my little mic set up right here. Yeah, we're gonna go into a prayer, and then we'll go into our current events and proceed forward from there. So we're gonna have a moment of silence, and then we'll go into the prayer. Okay. Oh Lord, we thank you for your great mercy and your great power and wisdom. We tarry, waiting for your powerful deliverance of your people Israel. Oh Lord, you have given us insight into the scriptures of our forefathers. You, oh Lord, has directed us to who you are and your role in the goings on of heaven and on the earth. We come this Sabbath day, doubtless that you will appear, that you will gather your nation from among these wicked Gentiles. O Lord, you spoke through prophets Isaiah and said that you would help Abraham's seed, that you, O Lord, scatter. You have completed that promise as of this day. You said, O Lord, that you would remove the darkness around us. Tarry not, O Lord. The latter days are here. We are waiting and watching for you, O Lord. Peace be unto you. Okay. So with that being said, anybody got any current events that they want to talk about, bring up?
Hi, Leonard. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
What's up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say Shabbat shalom, and could you please take me out the show? I just want to be backstage.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So what's going on? Okay, so anybody got any current events they want to bring up or talk about?
I've been busy. I haven't been keeping up with anything lately, but I haven't seen anything in the last day or two.
Okay. Well, I got a couple of things. I was trying to wait to see if anybody else had anything. They got 19 storms out there in the Atlantic. I don't know if anybody know about that. They got 19 potential storms. And then they got, we've been talking about these smart cities that they building. We know it's tied to what they're getting ready to do as far as the Road and Build Initiative and all that that China's setting up over in Africa and specifically in Africa, but it's all tied to, it's like a world or system they're setting up, and they're building all these smart cities. And so Bill Gates is building a smart city in Arizona. Okay. Shalom, Zaya. Yeah, so he said, okay. So they are building Bill Gates building a smart city. You could do your research on it. It's called Belmont. And it's located in like I said, it's located in Arizona. And then another thing about it is they're trying to, this I think playing into what's going to happen when they're going to make the decision for us to leave. Is they got people in Georgia. They want they petitioning for a safe sanctuary in Georgia. They're trying to build a city outside of Georgia called a safe sanctuary, and they asking all blacks to come there. Then they got another place it's like this stuff starting to happen all over the place. But it says it's a group called the Freedom Georgia Initiative. It's just the people that's trying to build a safe sanctuary. It's called the new Black Wall Street. It's the video is Black Wall Street, St. Louis group hoping to build to buy back. Well, it's two different groups. This the one in Georgia is called Freedom Georgia Initiative, and they trying to start up a new Black Wall Street. And they, it's a bunch of land, like a bunch of acres, but it's all property that's been abandoned, and they want to come in. It's a group of them. They want to buy all that area and then renovate all those buildings and make it a Black Wall Street, area for Black commerce. It's sort of like what that's the dude the guy that made Tyler Perry when he went over there and bought that thing and made that studio for that big studio where they trying to buy all this area. It's like 5,200 acres or something like that, and they trying to renovate it and turn it into a Black Wall Street, and they're inviting all blacks that want to come there and participate to come. And then they're doing the same thing, and it's called Freedom Group Initiative in St. Louis. They're trying to do that, so I'm gonna play that. It's about 2 minutes, 4 minutes. And like I said, to me, that's the sign right there that it's going. They don't want that. We already know that because they destroyed the other Wall Street. So rather than they can't do what they did before, so they have to make make an alternative, or make a decision, and it's to let us go rather than to allow us to come up over here. But don't play it. And like I say, this is already happening in like 3 different places.
There is a huge fundraising deadline coming up for Senate. Push tonight to revitalize another patch of North St. Louis. A group is trying to purchase multiple blocks from the city. The project is focused around the area of Grove Street and Carter Avenue, just off of I-70. The goal is to redevelop and create opportunities for the Black community. Only News 4's Kim St. Ange is explaining how this will work. Kim. Well, the group first has to get approval from the city to even buy this land. They're offering $150,000 for it, and that's what brought them right here to this building behind me. This building is where the city will decide whether or not to accept that offer that could mark a major step forward for North St. Louis. It might not look like much right now, mostly abandoned buildings and overgrown grass, but the group wants this area to eventually become Black Wall Street.
That's right, 100%.
Alderman Brandon Bosley is behind this effort to buy over 8 blocks of land in North City, starting at Grove Street and Carter Avenue.
Our people need land. That's the thing that they told us we would get when we were released from slavery. We never got it. That's the reason we don't have economic opportunity now. In the city of St. Louis, there's a lot of opportunity because there's a lot of land.
He's among 100 people from across the St. Louis metro agreeing to pay for the land. All are Black, an intentional move to show they're taking it upon themselves to revitalize North City.
We want to create a place where Black people can come and sell their merchandise, as well as create a space for them to gather for different events, concert venues, things like that.
Tonight, we were there as the group turned in their application to buy the land to the Land Reutilization Authority, or LRA. The LRA owns about 11,800 properties or plots of land in the city of St. Louis, most foreclosed or abandoned. You can buy the land if you meet certain criteria and offer the right price.
We have to start back to invest in our own community, because if nobody else is going to invest, then we have to step back up to the plate and start investing in our own community.
Charmaine Sweeney lives next to the land the group wants to buy, hoping it will also cut back on crime.
So anything that's going to be positive and upbuild the community, I'm all for it.
For now,
Okay. So any comments? No comments? Okay, yeah. So like I said before,
Yeah, I was just gonna say, because most people don't understand who we are. They don't understand the commandment to separate,
Right.
but they're trying to separate right next door.
Right. But they don't understand the fact that it's a prophecy on us that we have to leave here. But the Most High using them to light a fire under the powers that be, because they're not going to allow us to do that, because we already saw what they did before. So
Right.
whether
We
or
don't
not
have
to
no
do,
protection.
right, and then allow us, rather than let us do that, they would rather us to give us uh, a ticket out of here, because it's like, when you understand how Most High, when he look, we all came from Jacob. And so if you just notice how, just if in a neighborhood, if a one black person come up with this idea, and they start producing something and they start prospering, then another one gonna do the same thing.
Right.
So you can see this what's getting ready to happen with this. And so they ain't gonna deal with that. They're gonna have to counter that. And that's why I say I'm looking at it as that's gonna be the ticket that make them make the decision to say reparations, and but give us we have to leave.
Right.
Because they ain't gonna let that happen, because it's gonna pop off so fast, because of we in that mindset right now. So if they have to start dealing with black owned businesses and anything black, we go to it. That's where we at now. So as soon as somebody do something like that, I mean, it's gonna prosper so fast, because everybody gonna get involved, and they don't want that. You think the Black Wall Street in Tulsa was something? What they getting ready to try to do now is going to be a whole lot more powerful than that. They're gonna have to counter that, and that's what I'm looking at. That's the way we're gonna leave. Get
Yeah,
us
and
away
that's
from it.
all of their exactly. That's all of the other races' concerns. Their
Right,
concern is, like I said in
right,
the conversation I had with that guy, their concern is if y'all come up, what's gonna happen to us?
right, exactly. And then they well being been because we've been in the dark, and they've
Right.
been coming in our neighborhoods getting that money, because we wasn't unified. So they're going just as fast as we going up. They're gonna be going down even faster, because they don't have no revenue, because we redirected the revenue. So like I said, that's the counter that they're gonna have to get us out of here. I can see it. Yeah. So anybody else got any comments on that? Okay. We go over here and okay. So what I'm doing right now is anybody got anything else on current events? Before I move, I'm gonna read out of Jubilees. Okay. So I'm in Book of Jubilees. I'm gonna read chapter 1 and 2 of Jubilees. It says, "And it came to pass in the first year of the exodus of the children of Israel out of Egypt, in the third month, on the 16th day of the month, that God spake to Moses, saying, Come up to me on the mount, and I will give thee 2 tables of stone of the law and of the commandments, which I have written, that thou mayest teach them. And Moses went up in the mount, and the glory of the Lord abode on Mount Sinai, and a cloud overshadowed it 6 days. And he called to Moses on the 7th day out of the midst of the cloud, and the appearance of the glory of the Lord was like a flaming fire on top of the mount. Moses was on the mount 40 days and 40 nights, and God taught him the earlier and the latter history of the divisions of the days of the law and of the testimony. And he said, Incline thine heart to every word which I shall speak unto thee on this mount, and write them in a book, in order that their generations may see how I have not forsaken them for all the evil which they have wrought in the transgressing the covenant which I established between me and thee for their generations this day on Mount Sinai. and thus it will come to pass when all these things come upon them, that they will recognize that I am more righteous than they in all their judgments and in all their actions, and they will recognize that I have been truly with them, and do right for thyself all these words which I declare unto thee this day, for I know their rebellion, their stiff neck, before I bring them into the land of which I swore to their fathers, to Abraham and to Isaac and to Jacob, saying, unto your seed will I give it land, flowing with milk and honey, and they will eat and be satisfied, and they will turn to strange gods, which cannot deliver them from out of their tribulation. And this witness shall be heard for a witness against them, for they will forget all my commandments, even all I command them, and they will walk after the Gentiles, and after their uncleanness, and after their shame, and will serve their gods. And these will prove unto them to be an offense, and a tribulation, and an affliction, and a snare. So what's being revealed in this book of Jubilees is, it's one tribulation. It's one tribulation, and I was looking at that, how that's not being clarified. That I haven't heard it be clarified since I've been dealing with the scriptures, even when I was in the church and all that. That it's a tribulation. So just like it's a prophecy about the 400 years and all that stuff, they have different prophecies. It's a specific prophecy that's dealing with a tribulation. It's one tribulation. I'm going to read it again and show you what I'm talking about. It says, 5, Jubilees chapter 1, verse 5. And he said, incline thine heart to every word which I shall speak unto thee on this mount, and write them in a book, in order that your generations may see I have not forsaken them for all the evil which they have wrought in transgressing the covenant which I established between me and thee for their generations this day on Mount Sinai. And thus it will come to pass when all these things are come upon them, that they will recognize that I am more righteous than they in all their judgments and in all their actions. And they will recognize that I have been truly with them, and do right for thyself. And these words which I declare unto this day, I know them, I know their rebellion and their stiff neck, before I bring them into the land of which I swore to their fathers, to Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, saying, unto your seed will I give this land flowing with milk and honey, and they will eat and be satisfied, and they will turn to strange gods, which cannot deliver them from out of their tribulation. So when you look at that, they sinned. We know that they went into at least 13 different captivities. Then Daniel tells you that the Most High indignation came to a full. Then that's when he brought Antiochus Epiphanes and cast them out. That's when the tribulation started. Those captivities in there, and those other previous captivities when they went to Babylon, and when they went, the Philistines had them for 3 years and all that stuff. That wasn't a tribulation. Tribulation is when his indignation came to a full and kicked them out. So you have to see that it was prophesied about. It's particularly said, let me read it again. And they would turn to strange gods. They did that. That's what caused them those captivities, those 13 captivities, which cannot deliver them out of their tribulation. So it's prophesied. It's a time period was going to come, which is Jacob's trouble. And I'm saying all that for a reason, because we see all the stuff in the New Testament, but we at the end of that tribulation. So it's in 143 BC is when it started. When he brought Antiochus Epiphanes, he kicked them out. That's when the tribulation started, outside of the land of Israel. When he was kicked out of the land, abomination that make it desolate. So it's a particular event, like I said, but they didn't overshadow that. They don't want you to see that part of it, because it's going to kill the fact that the New Testament and and what they set up in the New Testament. So he says, and this says which cannot deliver them out of their tribulation, right? And the tribulation means that they caused him to the point where he kicked them out. That's when the tribulation started. And this witness shall be heard for a witness against them, for they will forget all my commandments during the tribulation. They're gonna forget all his commandments, even all that I command them, and they will walk after the Gentiles. So that goes to Deuteronomy. Let me read that. They go to Deuteronomy 28. You read that. It says, Deuteronomy 28 says, 28 and 64, and the Lord shall scatter them among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other, and there they shall serve other gods, which neither their fathers, neither thou nor thy fathers have known. So when you read that, the tribulation, the prophet of tribulation is within that. But until you get the revelation on what tribulation and what it is, you won't see that. But it says 64, the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other. So that means he's telling them right here, he's gonna kick them out the land. That's the tribulation. And then he said, while they outside of the land, in the land with their enemies, the Gentiles, they're gonna forget who he is and start serving and serve their gods. So that can't happen. That can't happen all day in the land. So they right there where he at. So they ain't gonna forget the laws. He there. He right there. So it says they will walk after the Gentiles, and after that their uncleanness, and after that shame, and will serve their gods, and these will prove to be an offense and a tribulation. See that? And an affliction and a snare. So this he telling you right here, whatever you getting and whatever you dealing with in this tribulation, it ain't of him. It's gonna prove to be an affliction and a snare. We done found that out. New Testament, JC, idol, all that. It's been a snare on us up until this point. It says, and many will perish, and they will be taken captive and will fall in the hands of the enemy, because they have forsaken my ordinances and my commandments and the festivals of my covenant and my Sabbaths and my holy place, which I have hollowed out for myself in their midst, and my tabernacle and my sanctuary, which I have hollowed out for myself in the midst of the land. So we see right here, he did away with all that. That's how we in the predicament we in. He says, my commandments, my festivals, we can't keep them. My Sabbaths, my holy place, that's the holy of holies within the temple, which I have hollowed out for myself in their midst. So he removed us where he was not in our midst no more. And that's how we got to the point where we at. And that's the whole reason for the abomination they make a desert. It says, and they will make to themselves high places and groves and graven images, and they will worship each his own graven image so as to go astray, and they will sacrifice their children to demons and to all the works of the error of their hearts. That's these churches all over the place. If they, 10 churches on one street corner. Each one of them got their own little sanctuary they done set up. It says, and I will send witnesses unto them that may witness against them, but they will not hear, and will slay the witnesses also, and they will persecute those who seek the law, and they will abrogate and change everything as to work evil before my eyes. We know that didn't happen. Change the laws and everything. Switch the books all up, and I shall hide my face from them, and I shall deliver them into the hands of the Gentiles. There we go. For captivity and for a prey, for devouring. And I shall remove them from the midst of the land, and shall scatter them amongst the Gentiles, and they will forget all of my law and all my commandments and all my judgments, and I will go and will go astray as the new moons and Sabbaths and festivals and jubilees and ordinances. And after this, they will turn to me from among the Gentiles with all their heart and with all their soul and with all their strength. And I shall gather them from amongst the Gentiles, and they will seek me so that I shall be found when they seek me. We in the midst of this right now. It says, with all their heart and with all their soul, and I shall disclose to them abounding peace with righteousness, and I shall remove them. I will remove the plant of uprightness with all my heart and with all my soul, and they will be for a blessing and not for a curse, and they will be the head and not the tail. And I will build my sanctuary in the midst, and I shall dwell with them, and I shall be their God, and they shall be my people in truth and in righteousness. I shall not forsake them, nor fall or fail them, for I am the Lord their God. And Moses fell on his face and prayed and said, Lord my God, do not forsake thy people and thy inheritance, so that they should wander in error of their hearts, and do not deliver them into the hands of their enemies, the Gentiles, lest they shall rule over them and cause them to sin against thee. And let thy mercy, O Lord, be lifted up upon thy people, and create in them an upright spirit, and let not the spirit of Baal rule over them, to accuse them before thee, and to ensnare them from all the paths of righteousness. So we see that's exactly what had happened. We've been cast out among the Gentiles, which is spirit of Baal on them. And that spirit of Baal done enticed us to where we caught in snares and holes. And we have no clue what the path of righteousness is. It says, so that they may perish from before thy face, but they are thy people and thy inheritance, which thou hast delivered with thy great power from the hands of the Egyptians, creating them a heart and an holy spirit, and let them not be ensnared in their sins from henceforth until eternity. And the Lord said unto Moses, I know their contrariness and their thoughts and their stiff-neckedness, and they will not be obedient till they confess their own sins and the sins of their fathers. And after this, they will turn to me in all uprightness and with all their heart and with all their soul. And I shall circumcise the foreskin of their heart and the foreskin of their heart of their seed. And I shall create in them an holy spirit, and shall cleanse them, so that they shall not turn away from me from that day until eternity. And their souls will cleave to me and to all the commandments, and they will fulfill my commandments. And I shall be their father, and they will be my children, and they will be called the children of the living God. And every angel and every spirit will know, yea, they will know that these are my children, and that I am their father in uprightness and righteousness, and that I love them and do write down for thyself all these words which I declare unto thee on this mountain, the first and the last, which shall come to pass in all the visions of days, in the law, in the testimony, in the weeks, in the judgments, unto eternity, until I descend and dwell with them throughout eternity. So I want to connect some dots with that. So it says in 23, and after this, they will turn to me in all uprightness and with all their heart and with all their soul, and I shall circumcise the foreskin of their heart and the foreskin shalom. Shalom. So foreskin of their heart, and they will be my children, and they will all be called the children of the living God, and every angel and every spirit will know, they will know that these are my children, and I am their father in uprightness, and that I love them, and do write down for thyself all these words which I declare unto thee on this mountain, the first and the last, which shall come to pass in all divisions of days, and in the law and in testimony, in the weeks and in jubilees unto eternity. So all that was said, it's a Hebrew idiom that covers all that. And he says that he says, and do write down all for thyself, all these words which I declare unto thee on this mountain, for the first and the last, which shall come to pass in all the visions of days, in the law and in eternity. And I will ascend and dwell with them throughout eternity. So what is he talking about when he say that I will ascend? I'm going to go show you one verse. You done heard me talk about it 1,000 times. So it says, And I'm going to go back and show you how I came to that conclusion. So he said, I'm going to come back in the last days and dwell with you in the midst of you. So Daniel chapter 12. At that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of our people, and there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even at that same time. And at that time our people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. So we see right here that it's Michael. We saw in the book of the Apocrypha of Abraham how that when it was time for Abraham to pass, Michael was seen from the right hand side of the Father with the commandments that he gave him to go deal with Abraham, and then Abraham refused to leave, refused to pass on, so he was ascend back to the side of the Father. So he just read right here in Daniel that in the last days, Michael gonna stand up for us, and we reading right here that he says, "Until I descend and dwell with him throughout eternity." So we see right here that's Michael. So you say, well, what are you talking about? If you go back to the very beginning, in chapter 1, I read verse 1, it says, "It came to pass in the first year of the exodus of the children of Israel out of Egypt, in the third month, on the 6th day of the month, that God spake to Moses, saying, Come up to me on the mount, and I will give thee 2 tables of stone, and the law and the commandments, which I have written, that thou mayest teach them. And Moses went up into the mount of God," right? So we know this thick cloud, Yahweh in it, because they can't look upon him. And we also know that the 7 is there too. So it says, "And Moses went up into the mount of God, and the glory of the Lord abode on the mount, and the cloud covered it, overshadowed it. And he called Moses on the 7th day out of the midst of the cloud, and the appearance of the glory of God was like a flaming fire on top of the mount. And Moses was on the mount 40 days and 40 nights. And then it says, and God taught him the earlier and the latter history of the divisions of days of the law and of the testimony." So they writing this right here, but the understanding is that we know when we was in Jasher, he commanded the angel of the present to teach Moses. So he called him, Yahweh called Moses up in the mount, but when he got into the mount, he came in contact with the Lord of hosts. And then the Lord of hosts taught him. And we also know that the Lord of hosts is the one that wrote on the 2 tables and gave him the commandments. Yahweh talking, but he got Michael doing all the due diligence with Moses and teaching Moses. Yeah, so I wanted to emphasize that. So I'm gonna read a little more, then I'm go into the class. He said to the angel of the present, "Right." See that? They got your answer right there. 27 says, God commands the angel to write. So that's the Lord hosts. So when we came into the cloud, Michael there. The other 7 there, but Michael there, second in charge, doing what he told him to do. He says, and he said to the angel of the present, that's Michael, "Write for Moses, from the beginning of creation till my sanctuary has been built among them for all eternity. And the Lord will appear to the eyes of all, and all will know that I am the God of Israel, and the Father of all the children of Jacob, and King on Mount Zion for all eternity. And Zion and Jerusalem will be holy. And the angel of the presence who went before the camp of Israel," see that, "took the tables of the division of years from the time of the creation of the law and the testimony of weeks and jubilees according to the individual years, according to all the number of jubilees, according to the individual years, from the day of the new creation, when the heavens and the earth shall be renewed, and all the creations according to the powers of heaven, and according to all the creation of the earth, until the sanctuary of the Lord shall be made in Jerusalem on Mount Zion, and all the luminaries be renewed for healing and for peace and for blessings, all the elect of Israel. And thus it may be from that day until all the days of the earth. So you see right there what I was talking about. It's self-explanatory. Then and the angel of the presence spake unto Moses according to the word of the Lord. See, so you have to see that when the Most High is saying he's gonna do something, Michael gonna do it. He's telling Moses certain things, but Michael the one performing them. So he says, the angel of the presence spake to Moses according to the word of the Lord, according to what the Lord had told him. And you're gonna see, and when we go into the class, how that this same understanding falls down to David too. When Michael talking, once Israel became a nation, and he put David over them and had a king over them. So when he started talking about what he gonna do, David got to be there. Let me show you that right quick. Yeah, may not have never seen this, but I'm gonna show it to you right here. So Ezekiel 37. Ezekiel 37 says, and you gotta get this too. So it says 38. I'm in 37 and 22. I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountain of Israel and one king. See that? He can't. It ain't gonna happen if he don't bring David back, because David the one gonna perform it. He's speaking it, but David's the one gonna perform it. Yahweh speaking, but Michael the one performing it. It says, and I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king over them all. You got to have a king now. His anointed one, David. It says, and one king shall be king over them all, and they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all. Neither shall they defile themselves anymore with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgression. But I will save them out of their. This goes back to what I just read, Daniel chapter 12. When Michael stand up, I will save them out of all their dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and I will cleanse them. So shall they be my people. I will be their God. Look at this. And David, my servant. David is a servant. What he telling David gonna perform it. Michael is Yahweh's servant. When he started talking about he gonna do something, Michael gonna do it. You gotta understand that. So he says, and David, my servant, shall be king over them. Why? Because David gonna be doing his bidding for him. And they all shall have one shepherd. See? And they shall also walk in my judgments and observe my statutes and do them. Why? Because David sold out on the Lord. He sold out on every word that come forth from out his mouth. He's gonna perform it. And why? Because David has a heart after his God, after his El, and Michael has a heart after the Yahweh. Whatever Yahweh performs or speaks forth, he got the desire within his heart to do it. And so we see now, he can't be nobody else but David. And that's why he's mentioning David. When he started talking about the end times, David's included in it. Okay, let me read a little more, then I'm going to the lesson. So it says, for on the first day he created the heavens which are above, and the earth, and the waters, and all the spirits which serve before him, the angels of the presence, the angels of sanctification, and the angels of the spirits of fire, and the angels of the spirit of wind, the angels of the spirit of clouds, and of darkness, and snow, and hail, and hoarfrost, and the angels of the voices of the thunder, and of the lightning, and the angels of the spirits of cold and heat, and of winter and spring and autumn and summer, and of all the spirits of his creatures which are in the heavens and in the earth, on the earth. He created the abyss and darkness, evening tide and night, light, day, dawn and day, which he had prepared in the knowings of his in the knowledge of his heart. And thereupon we saw his works and praised him and alluded before him on account of all his works. For 7 great works did he create on the first day. Right? So, the reason I'm reading that is you see that it's being accredited to Yahweh but Michael the one doing it. So they synonymous. You know, even in a greater way than we even imagine. Let me read it again. For on the first day he created. That's what Michael means. He created the heavens which are above and the earth. So that's why the wording is the way it is. Yahweh saying it, Michael doing it, but there's no difference in the two of them. And like I said, you have to understand that. There ain't no difference in the two of them. Because you can go right here, you know, let me see, I hope I can find it. But it says in Isaiah. Yeah, here you go right here. It says 43, verse 1, Isaiah 43:1. But now, thus says the Lord that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name, thou art mine. When thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee through the rivers. They shall not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall the flames kindle upon thee. For I am the Lord thy God, the Holy One of Israel, the Savior. I gave Egypt for uh, a ransom for Ethiopia, and Sheba for thee. So we know that this the Lord of hosts. So let's go to Exodus right quick. You know, go into the lesson. So you go to Exodus right quick. You're gonna see that's Michael talking right there. But look what he's saying right here in Exodus. At the burning bush. So I'm at the burning bush. Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert, came to the mountain of God, even to Horeb, and the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of the bush, and looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire. It tells you it's an angel, and the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burned. And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, then Yahweh, Michael is the angel there. When he was looking at him, when he turned, when Moses came there, then Yahweh called to, he ain't there, but he can see what Michael sees. Then he called him, he says, and Yahweh called unto him out of the midst of the fire of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. Now look what he's saying, 5. And he said, draw nigh hither, pull off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place wherein thou standest is holy. Moreover, he said, I am the God of thy fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And Moses hid his face, and he was afraid to look upon him. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows. So this Yahweh talking. But Michael just said the same thing. I heard your cry, and I came and delivered you. But it's Yahweh sent him. Like I said, both of them, you can't separate the two. And so I'm saying that because you can't get no son in there. You can't put no human being in there nowhere. There's no room in there for no human being. And so just from this example I gave you right here, when you read other verses, you begin to see that too. This he's saying one thing, you assuming that he's gonna perform it, but he got a servant, which is the Lord of hosts. He's gonna perform it. Michael doing the same thing. He's saying he's gonna do this, he's gonna do that, but he got a servant, David, that's gonna perform it. Yeah. So anyway, y'all. With that being said, anybody got any comments before we go into the lesson? No comments. Okay. So now what I'm doing is I'm reading out of just dealing with Solomon and David right before David passed away, and it's gonna tie in with what I just read. Some of the stuff I was just talking about. Okay, is So I mentioned the other day about the Lord said unto my Lord. So I want to put a little more emphasis on that while I'm reading this. It says, now King David was old. I'm in chapter 1 of First Kings. King David was old and stricken in years, and they covered him with clothes, but he got no heat. Wherefore his servant said unto him, let there be salt for my Lord. See that? So we're going to see who is David is Lord. And like I said, so and Michael is Lord. So it says, wherefore his servant said unto him. So when you understand what the Psalms is saying when it says, my Lord said unto my Lord, it's an Israelite in the nation of Israel that's talking. Because we're gonna see right here. Now, King David was old and stricken in years. This is an Israelite talking. This is let me see. Let me look at it real quick. See there was a vote. King says, well, they saying that it's supposedly Jeremiah wrote, Isaiah wrote these kings. So anyway, it's an Israelite that's writing this. When you look at the wording, it says, now King David was old and stricken in years. This ain't that David talking. David ain't speaking about himself in this manner. This is an Israelite, whether it's a Levi, a priest, or whatever. But he says, now King David was old, stricken in age. So they already let you know it's an Israelite talking. And they covered him with clothes, but got no heat. But he got no heat. Wherefore his servant said unto him, let there be salt for my Lord. See that? So we have to know that it's an Israelite that's talking over there when he says, my Lord said unto my Lord. It's an Israelite talking. It's not David. So he says, wherefore his servant said unto him, let there be salt for my Lord, the king. See that? We see a lowercase. King, a young virgin, and let her stand before the king, and let her cherish him, and let her lie in thy bosom, that my Lord, see that? That my Lord, the king, may get heat. So they sought for a fair damsel throughout all the coasts of Israel, and found Abijah, a Shulamite, and brought her to king. And the damsel was very fair and cherished the king, and ministered unto him, but the king knew her not. Then Abijah, the son of Hadrath, I don't know this word, exalted himself, saying, I will be king, and he prepared him chariots and horsemen and 50 men to run before him. And his father had not displeased, and his father had not displeased him any time in saying, why hast thou done so? And he also was a very goodly man, and his mother bore him after Absalom. And he conferred with Joab and the son of Zerah with Abiathar the priest, and they following Abijah helped him, and Zodek the priest, and Benaiah the son of Jediah, and Nathan the prophet, and Shimei and Riah, and the mighty men which belongs to David were not with Abijah. Abijah slew sheep and oxen and fat cattle by the stones of Zehelaph, which is by Enrogel, and called all his brethren the king's sons, and all the men of Judah the king's servants. But Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah, and the mighty men, and Solomon his brother, he called not. Wherefore Nathan spake unto Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon, saying, hast thou not heard that Abijah the son of Haggith doeth reign, and David our Lord knoweth it not? Here again, right here we see right here again, David our Lord. I'm putting some emphasis on that. Say, now therefore come, let us pray thee, give thee counsel that thou mayest save thine own life and the life of thy son Solomon. Go and get thee unto the king David, and say unto him, did not thou, my Lord, O king, swear unto thy handmaiden, saying, surely Solomon thy son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne. And then why then do Abijah reign? Behold, while thou yet talking there with the king, I also will come in after thee and confirm thy words. And Bathsheba went in unto the king to the chamber, and the king was very old, and Abijah the Shulamite ministered unto him, and Bathsheba bowed and did abstinence unto the king, and the king said, What wouldest thou? And she said unto him, My Lord, thou swear by the Lord thy God. There you go right there. So this is verification of what they trying to twist up over there in Psalms. It says, and she said unto him, she an Israelite, and she said unto him, My Lord, thou swearest by thy Lord God unto thine handmaid. They go to both lords right there. Thy son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne. So let's look at that. So how David know Solomon was gonna sit on the throne? Michael told him. Who told Michael? Yah. So we see how this working. Yah told Michael. Michael told David. David told Bathsheba. He got confirmation, and he told Bathsheba, well, my Lord told me that Solomon was going to reign after me. And then he swore that unto Bathsheba. And Bathsheba charging him right here on it. He said, "What?" She asked him, "What's going on? You told me that your Lord, Michael, told you that Solomon was going to come after you." Say 18, and now behold, Abijah reigneth, and now my Lord, the king, thou knowest it not. And he have slain oxen, fat cattle, and sheep in abundance, and have called all the sons of the king, and Abijah the priest, and Joab the captain of the host. But Solomon thy servant have we not called. And thou, my Lord, O king, the eyes of all Israel are upon thee, that thou shouldst tell them who shall sit on the throne of my Lord, the king, after him. Otherwise, it shall come to pass when my Lord, the king, shall sleep with his fathers, that I and my son Solomon shall be counted offenders. And lo, while she yet talked with the king, Nathan the prophet also came in, and they told the king, saying, Behold, Nathan the prophet. And when he was come in before the king, he bowed himself before the king and his face to the ground. And Nathan said, look at this. Nathan said, Bathsheba just did the same thing. Now Nathan in there, he says, My Lord, the king, as thou said, Abijah shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne, for he is gone down this day, and have slain oxen, fat cattle, sheep in abundance, and have called all the king's sons and the captains of the host, and Abijah the priest, and behold, they eat and drink before him, and say, God save the king, Abijah. But me, even my servant, and Zodek the priest, and Benaiah the son of Jedediah, and thy servant Solomon have not called, have he not called? Is this thing done by my Lord the king? And thou hast not showed it unto thy servant, who shall sit on the throne of my Lord the king after me. So I want to go back up here and show it. I want to shine a light on something. 24 says, Nathan said, My Lord, O king, my Lord, and he shall sit upon the throne, for he is gone down this day, and have slain oxen, fat cattle, sheep in abundance, and have called all, look at this, he called all king's sons and the captains of the host, and Abijah the priest, and behold, they eat and drink before him. See that? He said they eat and drink before him. Well, let's look at that. So let's look at Genesis 18 when the Lord of hosts came to Abraham. So they treating the king, which is David is a king. All the kings in Israel came out of him, so it's his throne. So they doing abstinence to him the same way when they see the Lord of hosts. Let's look at that. Genesis 18 says, 18, verse 1, the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day, and he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him, just Abraham. And when he saw them, He ran to meet them from the tent door, bowed himself. He doing the same thing to Michael that the Israelites doing to David. And bowed himself toward the ground. Then he said, "My Lord." See that? "If I now have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee from thy servant." But look what he did. Abijah had went and got all these people, and they sitting before him eating. And they showing abstinence to him. And they doing the same thing to David. So it says, 4, let a little water, I pray thee, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourself under the tree. And I will fetch a morsel of bread, comfort ye your hearts, and after that ye shall pass on. Therefore, or ye come to your servant. And they said, so do as thou hast said. And Abraham hastened into the tent unto Sarah and said, make ready quickly 3 morsels of fine meal, knead it, make cakes unto the heat. And Abraham ran into the herd, fetched a calf tender and good, gave it unto the young man, and he hastened to dress it. Now here we go, 8. And he took the butter and the milk and the calf which he had dressed, sat it before them, and he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. So they doing it's no different than what they doing with the king, which is David, than what they doing with the Lord of hosts. So, like I said before, and if you don't know that, you can find yourself in a pickle because you sitting there thinking that you don't have to do this and that to this certain particular person, and you come up missing because we see they're doing the same thing because David is standing in the authority of the Lord of hosts, and the Lord of hosts is standing in the authority of Yahweh. So you come up missing if you don't understand that. So anyway, I'm gonna go over here I'm gonna read a little bit out of chapter 2 because I was showing you how the same way that you have to understand that. I was showing you the other day where these men, because they're not like us, they ain't throwed off like us. They know they understand who Lord of hosts is, and they understand his role, and they understand that he a servant too, so they can charge him. Because he not coming to them with deception. He coming to them and telling them. And they know his role, they know his responsibility, so they can charge him. So right here, David charging Solomon. I'm gonna read it. He says, now, the days of David drew nigh that he should die. And he charged Solomon, his son, saying, I go the way of the earth, of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man. Keep the charge of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his statutes, and his commandments, and his judgments, and his testimony, as it is written in the laws of Moses, that thou mayest prosper in all that thou doest, and wheresoever thou turnest thyself. So let's look at that. So he says, he telling Solomon in verse 2, I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man. How you going to do that? 3, keep the charge of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, keep his statutes, his commandments, his judgments, his testimony, as it is written in the laws of Moses. So he making a point to stress that to Solomon. So let's look at that. Go back to Ezekiel 37. Look at this. You're gonna see this is why he's gonna raise David up. So we back in 37. I read this just a minute ago. 22. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king. See that? Shall be king over them all, and they shall no more be 2 nations, neither shall they be divided into 2 kingdoms anymore. So how did they get divided into 2 kingdoms? David died. Solomon came on the throne. He went to the left. So they ended up getting divided because David died. So 23, neither shall they defile themselves anymore. How can he say this? Neither shall they defile themselves anymore with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions, but I will save them out of all their dwelling places wherein they are sinned, and I will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their God. Now look at this. And David, my servant, shall be king over them. Now he's gonna quote it word for word what David just charged Solomon. And they all shall have one shepherd. They shall also walk in my judgments, observe my statutes, and do them. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt, and they shall dwell therein, even they and their children, and their children's children forever. And my servant David shall be prince over them. That's because of David gonna do just what he told Solomon over here in 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 2. I go in the way of all the earth. Be strong, therefore, show thyself a man. Keep the charge of the Lord. That's why he resurrected David. Keep the charge of the Lord, thy God, to walk in his ways, keep his statutes, his commandments, his judgments, and his testimony, as it is written in the laws of Moses, that they may prosper in all that thou doest, and wheresoever thou turnest thyself, that the Lord may continue his word which he spoke concerning me, saying, if thy children take heed. Look at this. Go back. He told Solomon, that the Lord may continue his word which he spake concerning him. It ain't got nothing to do with the children. Solomon, none of the kings after David. It's all concerned. He says that the Lord may continue his word which he spake concerning me. Talking about David. Saying, if thy children, that's all the kings of Israel that's going to be on the throne, take heed in their way and walk before me in truth with all their heart and with all their soul, that there shall not fail thee, said he, a man on the throne of Israel, is David's throne. Moreover, thou knowest also that Jacob, the son of Zerah, did to me and what he did to the two captains of the host of Israel, unto Abner and to the sons of Ner, and unto Amasa, the son of Jether, whom he slew and shed blood of war in peace, and put the blood of war upon his girdle that was about his loins, and in his shoes that were on his feet. Do therefore according to thy wisdom, and let not his hoar head go down to the grave in peace, but show kindness unto the sons of Barzillai and the Gideite, and let them be of those that eat at the table. For so they came to me when I fled before the Absalom thy brother, and behold, thou hast with thee Shema, the son of Gear, a Benjamite of Baharum, which cursed me with a grievous curse in the day when I went to Manhattan. But he came down to meet me at Jordan and swore to him, said, I swore to him by the Lord, saying, I will not put thee to death with the sword, nor therefore hold him not guiltless, for thou art a wise man, and knowest what thou ought to do unto him, but his hoar head bringeth thou down to the grave with blood. So after David charged Solomon, he passed away. And like I said, Solomon, if you understand what's going on, Solomon ain't that old. So all that David charged him to do, he did it at first. But when he got old, he went away from that. And that's what got him in trouble. And that's how the tribes got split up, because of what Solomon did. And even in that, when he split the tribes up, he kept Judah, Benjamin, Levi together on account of David. What David just mentioned. So everything that's going on is on account of David. But like I said, we don't see that. But it's all, everything he doing is he got obligations and responsibilities toward David. And that's what's being fulfilled. Okay. Any comments or questions? Okay.
There's a question. There you go.
It says in Exodus 33:23, who did Moses see? Yah or the Lord of hosts? 33 and 23. 33, 23. That's Yahweh. That's the creator. He's up in the cloud. So that's Yahweh. So when you look at that, go to Numbers 19 right quick. Let me find it. It may not be Numbers 19, but if you go to Numbers, when Miriam got cursed. Yeah. So in 12, I'm gonna start at verse 6. Verse 1 says, Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman who he had married, for he had married an Ethiopian woman. So they talking against him. And the Lord spake suddenly, verse 4, unto Moses and unto Aaron and unto Miriam, come out ye three unto the tabernacle of the congregation. And they three came out, and the Lord came down in the pillar of the cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle and called unto Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision. See that? In a vision. This goes back to the reason why I'm trying to make you understand what melanin is. It's what makes the skin dark. And the melanin is created by the pineal gland, which is in the forehead, in your forehead. It creates the melanin. Well, that melanin, that pineal gland is a portal. And that's what he's saying right here. Everybody before Moses, I, the Lord, make myself known unto them in a vision. That's through this pineal gland, through the melanin. And I will speak unto him in a dream. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all mine house. With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches. And the similitude of the Lord shall he behold. Wherefore then, were ye not afraid to speak against him? So we see right here, this Yahweh in the thick cloud. And so you say, what you talking about? If you go to Genesis chapter 12, hold that page. Go to 12 right quick, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm in chapter 12, verse 1. Now this Michael, it says, now the Lord has said unto Abraham, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy people, and from thy people. Yeah, it says, and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee. Right. So this is the Lord. Verse 7 says, and the Lord appeared unto him at Abraham and said unto him, unto thy seed will I give this land, and there builded he an altar unto the Lord, which appeared unto him. So he appeared unto him, he showed himself. That's Michael. That's Michael right there. He appeared to him de facto. And he looking right at him. So ain't no cloud, nothing there. But over here, when you're in chapter 33, he says, the Lord said unto Moses, depart and go on up against and to the people which thou brought up out of the land of 23. He said 23. Yeah. He says, and I will take away mine hand, and thou shalt see my backside, my back parts, my face thou shalt not be seen. So like I was saying before, in Genesis 18, when Abraham saw them three angels coming, the Lord was there. When Moses talked to him, bowed down to him, and talked to him, and ate with him. That wasn't Yahweh. This is Yahweh right here, because you can't look on him. If you look on him in the face, you're going to die. So he told him, because of knowing that you can't see my face, but I'm going to let you see my backside. So he put him in a rock, covered his face up, and passed by him. Then when he took his hand off, Moses saw his backside. He couldn't look on him in the face. And that's how you know two different beings. Okay. I hope that answers your question. Anybody else got anything? Nobody else got nothing? Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna open the floor up for some questions in the Q for a little Q&A before we close out. I just wanted to stress that I was having a conversation with somebody. What that was, I think Thursday. A couple of guys, and we was talking about that, about how that how the Lord people is perceiving one thing that's going on with the scriptures, not understanding how it's happening. What's really going on with this when you start dealing with who's commanding who and who's the servant and how that works. And so I said, if they was had questions and was confused about it, I figured I'd say, well, I'd come on the line and shine a little more light on it so people understand that. Once you see it, it's not as difficult. It's not that hard to see it once it's being shown to you and conveyed to you in the right way. But like I said before, when the Most High, when in the beginning when he says in the beginning the Most High created the heavens and the earth, it's a being standing there. He got a servant that's standing there. When he said make light, then he there making the light. When he said do this, then he doing that. He's commanding them. And so it's the same thing when he says go tell Isaiah this, and then he go. That's why it's saying the word of the Lord came unto me, because the Yahweh sent a being and it came under whoever the prophet was and told him what the Lord said. So you have to understand that. So it's the same thing when David tells somebody something. He sent them and they go tell whoever David sent them to. And it's the same thing that's going on in heaven. And you have to understand that. Like I said before, maybe last year or something, a couple of years ago, I think I explained it, the fact that when it says the word of the Lord came unto me, when you see that, you have to understand there's a being in that. Because it's a being that's been sent out. And it's bringing the word. The Most High is no different than when a king got a courier, and his army is out on the front line fighting, and the general that's over the army, the Most High the king sent a letter by his courier and write all that he wanted to tell his officer. He give it to the courier, and the courier take off on his horse, and then he get to where his officer at, and he give it to him. So the word of the Lord, the word of the king came unto the altar, to the officer. He got the word in his hand. He riding with it, and he gets to where he at, he give it to him. It's no different than these angels. And especially in Pacific with Michael. So the Most High, he's on the right-hand side of the Father. He commanded him some, then he takes it. The word of the Lord came unto me. Y'all, the creator, the person that spoke the word ain't there. There's a being carrying the word that he spoke to the prophet or to the man, whoever he sent the message to. So it's a being, like I said, it's a being involved in there. You have to understand that. It ain't like Yahweh talking all the way from heaven to the prophet. He's speaking it to the angel, and the angel taking it to the prophet. And so when the Gentiles got a hold of that, and they were trying to figure out a way to bring Jesus in, they made Jesus that word. Well, that's wicked as hell. When you get the proper understanding of what's really going on, and not even create a whole nother genre by saying in the beginning was the word and the word was with God. No, that ain't how it's working. It's a being there that's communing with Yahweh, and then whatever Yahweh tell him, he taking that word and taking it wherever the Most High wanted to go to. It's totally different than in the beginning was the word, which is mentioned by John 2/3 through the Bible. It's wicked as hell. Yeah. Okay, let me hit this right quick. I got another question. It says, why was some sacrifices burnt in Psalm 8? Okay, the reason why some was burnt in Psalm was 8, let me read that right quick. That's a good question. I'm in Leviticus chapter 9. I'm in Leviticus chapter 9. So when you understand what the sacrifices are, these are animals, and they tied to the sacrifice to appease the Lord of hosts. So he took the Levites, like I was telling you, the Most High got a servant. Lord of hosts is his servant. Where the temple that Yahweh already have a temple in heaven. So when they built the temple on the earth that was in Jerusalem, that's where Michael dwelled at. So that temple is for the Lord of hosts. And so the Levites, he took the Levites from among the 12 tribes to himself. Why? They his servants. They the ones running the temple for him. So being that he took them to himself, he had to provide for them. So a portion of every sacrifice is for them, and a portion of it for him. So I'm gonna show you that. And let me get it right here. So I'm in chapter 9. It says, and it came to pass, based on what I just said. And it came to pass on the 8th day that Moses called Aaron and his sons and the elders of Israel, and he said unto Aaron, take thee a young calf for a sin offering, and a ram for a burnt offering without blemish, and offer them before the Lord. See that? So he told them to go get a calf and get a ram and offer them to the Lord, to him. And unto the children of Israel thou shalt speak, saying, take a kid of a goat for a sin offering, and a calf and a lamb, both first years old without blemish, for a burnt offering. Also a bullock and a ram for a peace offering to sacrifice before the Lord, and the meat offering mingled with oil, for today the Lord will appear unto you. And they brought that which Moses commanded before the tabernacle of the congregation, and all the congregation drew near and stood before the Lord. And Moses said, this is the thing which the Lord commanded that ye shall do, and the glory of the Lord shall appear unto you. And Moses said unto Aaron, go unto the altar and offer thy sin offering and thy burnt offering, and make an atonement for thyself and for thy people, and offer the offering of the people, and make an atonement for them as the Lord commanded. Aaron therefore went unto the altar, slew the calf and the sin offering which was for himself, and the sons of Aaron brought the blood unto him, and dipped it in his finger in the blood, put it upon the horns of the altar, poured out the blood at the bottom of the altar. But the fat and the kidney and the caul above the liver of the sin offering he burned upon the altar of the Lord, and as Moses had commanded, and the flesh and the hide he burnt with fire without the camp. And he slew the burnt offering, and Aaron presented unto him blood, which he sprinkled around about upon the altar. And they presented the burnt offering unto him, the pieces thereof, and the head, and he burnt them upon the altar. And he did wash the inwards and the legs, and burnt them upon the burnt offering on the altar. And he brought the people's offering and took the goat, which was the sin offering, and the people, and slew it and offered it for sin. And he brought the burnt offering and offered it according to the manner. And he brought the meat offering and took a handful thereof and burned it upon the altar beside the burnt sacrifice of the morning. And he slew also a bullock and a ram for a sacrifice of a peace offering, which was for the people. And Aaron's sons presented unto him the blood which he sprinkled upon the altar round about. We going somewhere. Okay, so it says, and the fat and the bullock and the ram and the rump, which he covered in the inwards and the kidneys and the caul above the liver, and they put the fat upon the breast, and he burnt the fat upon the altar, and the breast and the right shoulder Aaron waved for a wave offering before the Lord, as Moses commanded. And Aaron lifted up his hand toward the people and blessed them, and came down off the offering, the sin offering and the burnt offering and peace offering. And Moses and Aaron went in the tabernacle of the congregation and came out and blessed the people, and the glory of the Lord appeared unto the people. And there came a fire from before the people, before the Lord, and consumed upon the altar the burnt offering and the fat, which when all the people saw, they shouted and fell on their faces. Okay, let me get it. Go back. I'm in chapter 8. It says, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, take Aaron and his sons with him, and the garment, and the anointing oil, and the bullock, and the sin offering, and the 2 rams, and the basket of unleavened bread. Gather them all, gather thou all the congregation together unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And Moses did as the Lord commanded him, and assembly was gathered together unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And Moses said unto the congregation, this is the thing which the Lord commanded to be done. And Moses brought Aaron and his sons and washed them with water. Let me find it. Yeah. 14, chapter 8, verse 14. And he brought the bullock and the sin offering, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands upon the head of the bullock for a sin offering, and he slew it. And Moses took the blood, put it upon the horns of the altar round about with his fingers, purified the altar, poured the blood at the bottom of the altar, sanctified it to make a reconciliation upon it. And he took all the fat that was upon the inwards and the caul above the liver and the 2 kidneys and their fat, and Moses burned it upon the altar. But the bullock and the hide and his flesh and his dung he burnt with fire without account, as the Lord commanded. And he brought the ram for a burnt offering, and Aaron and his sons laid their hands upon the head of the ram. He killed it, and Moses sprinkled the blood upon the altar round about, and he cut the ram into pieces. And Moses burnt the head and the pieces and the fat, and he washed the inwards of the legs in water. And Moses burnt the whole ram upon the altar. It was a burnt sacrifice for a sweet savor, and an offering made by fire unto the Lord. And the Lord commanded Moses, and he brought the other ram, and the ram of consecration. And Aaron and his sons laid their hands upon the head of the ram, slew it. And Moses took the blood of it, put it upon the tips of Aaron's right ear, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his foot. And he brought Aaron's sons, and Moses put the blood upon the tips of their right ear, and upon the thumbs of their right hand, and upon the great toe of their feet. And Moses sprinkled the blood upon the altar round about. And he took the fat and the rump and all the fat that was upon the inwards and the caul above the liver and the 2 kidneys and their fat and the right shoulder. And out of the basket of the unleavened bread that was before the Lord, he took 1 unleavened cake and a cake of all bread and 1 wafer, and put them on the fat and upon the right shoulder. And he put all upon Aaron's hands and upon all Aaron's sons' hands, and waved them for a wave offering before the Lord. Moses took them from off their hands and put them on the altar upon the burnt offering. They were consecrated for a sweet savor. It is an offering made by fire. And Moses took the breast and waved it before the wave offering before the Lord for the ram consecration. It was Moses' part as the Lord commanded. And Moses took the anointing oil and the blood which was upon the altar, sprinkled it upon Aaron, and put it upon his garments, upon his sons, and upon his sons' garment with him, sanctified Aaron and his garments and his sons' garment with him. And Moses said unto Aaron and his sons, look at this. This is what I'm trying to get you. Like I said, I was going somewhere. Moses said unto Aaron and his sons, boil the flesh at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and there eat it. So part of the ram belonged to the Lord's servants, and part of it belonged to him. That's why they're doing that. Some of it is for the priest. He's like a father, and he got children. They got to eat. He gonna do what he has to do, but he also got to provide for the children. Because so these Levites that's doing all this work, doing all this sacrificing for the rest of the other 11 tribes, he's taking them out of Israel. They his responsibility. So part of the ram, which is like I was saying the other day, he loved the cub and the fat. No, that's what he want. So he said, you want to invite me to the party, if you want to call me down from heaven, put some fat on the altar. And I'll come down there and show out. So, but at the same time, he got servants. He got to feed them. So the shoulder and the back part and the rump and all that belong to them. They ain't doing nothing but barbecuing. That's all they doing. He getting this part out of it. They barbecuing the rest and eating it. Okay. I hope that answers the question. Anybody else got anything? Okay. Okay.
So was that angel food?
No, that angel food is hoarfrost. It's what they he comes out and it's sort of like dew. It's like little pellets. That's different right here. These are animals that the Most High created in the beginning. And the reason why they being used is they innocent. In so many words, they righteous because of they haven't veered from whatever the Most High created them to do. They've been doing it ever since the day of creation. They do the same thing what David did. They don't go to the right or to the left. Whatever it is the Most High created them to do, they've been doing it up until this day. He told the Israelites, don't let your sons marry outside their race, and don't let your daughters marry outside their race. Well, they couldn't wait to do that. But these animals, you don't see no goat over there with no dog, or you don't see no giraffe over there trying to get with a silverback gorilla. They've been doing what he told them to do, staying within their lane ever since the day he created them. So they more or less like righteous servants. That's being offered up on the altar. So like I said before, he said a ram or a goat of a certain age, unblemished. That's important. That means, like I said, these are animals that they ain't did nothing to nobody. All they doing is what they created them to do, and they're being brought forth on behalf of the man's sin to atone for their sins. Okay. Anybody else got anything? Okay. So with that being said, if nobody else don't have nothing, I'm gonna close out with it for the Sabbath class. I was saying if you want to check out that what I was talking about earlier in current events about the people let me find that so I can get to you. Yeah. the video was about the people trying to build another Black Wall Street. It's Black Wall Street, St. Louis group hoping to buy back land from the city to revitalize North St. Louis. And then it's another one is a safe sanctuary. They're trying to do one in Georgia, safe sanctuary town in Georgia. That's like 4 minutes. So like I said, it's starting to catch fire all over the place. Everybody want to separate. The Most High didn't put that spirit on us now to separate. And so, a lot of them not understanding that we're gonna leave. They just don't want to deal with the Gentile no more. So that's a sign right there that it's time right there. And like I said, it's gonna catch fire when you look at it, and that's what's gonna be one of the determining factors where they're gonna have to get us out of here, because they can't do what they did in the past, come in and slaughter the whole town and all that, because of the whole world watching now. And the technology that's out there now, people watching. Big Brother out there. So they can't do what they did in the past. So the only thing they're going to be able to do is start, formulating a plan for us to leave. Okay. So nobody have no more questions before we go? Okay. I'm going to say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. I'll see y'all tonight at 6 o'clock.